Good morning, everyone. It's going to be a great day today. I know, because I know the God who created it. I am going to quickly show you Kitty. We're going to see if I can keep him quiet long enough to do my video. If not, he's already biting me. But I will ignore it, and then he may give up. Another bite. I have long sleeves on, so I'm protected. I need to take it off, but that's my protection from a biting cat. All right, so for today, I've had a lot of people comment, and I've had to block some post-tribbers. They get in and they're adamant. They're so wrong that they have to basically hammer the point down to us that we're almost like infidels to the Muslims, those that don't believe in a post-trib. We can't be a post-trib. We're going to talk about that. We have to be a pre-trib. Now, we could be wrong on when things start because we don't know. We could be wrong on when the Antichrist comes on the scene. He may not come on the scene immediately. Now, I read it that he does, but it's possible that we're interpreting wrong. Now, he's not going to come second half. He has to come to build the temple and to unite the Jews and come up with the peace plan. So he has to have time for that. They could probably build the temple in a year or two. So he could be a year in. I don't see that. I don't see the practicality of that, but we could be wrong. But pre-trib or early on in the trib. I can't even go as far as pre-wrath because we'll get to it in a bit, but the very first sign from Revelation 6 is the Antichrist riding in. He's the first broken seal. We'll get to that in a bit too. So anyhow, so if we don't have a pre-trib rapture, then frankly, Jesus didn't do enough on the cross. The rapture is removing those that will rule with Jesus during the millennium. They're deserving because they've accepted Christ in the absence of him here on earth. Those that saw him and witnessed him really have no excuse for not accepting him because they saw him in his miracles. But we haven't seen any of that, and we still believe. Faith will buy you a lot when it comes to God. So, did Jesus finish the job on the cross, or has he still got more to do? He did say it is finished. And another quick analogy. We'll get to this also, this verse, but it says in the days of Noah. Actually, I didn't copy that verse down, but you know it. In the days of Noah, people are going to be marrying and giving in marriage. They're going about their business as usual. And it came upon them, and it wasn't until the door was closed and it started raining, which they'd never seen before, did they look up and go, oh, I wonder if we should have listened to Noah. They had 100 years to listen to him. They thought he was crazy, and everybody else kept spreading the rumor that he was crazy, and so nobody paid attention to him. This crazy old man. So if you look at it from the days of Noah or even Sodom, the timeline was cut. Everything that's happening on the earth, God put in the timeline, including the tribulation, including the end of the world. Everything that we're seeing, your life individually, my life individually, was put in the timeline, and we're right where we're supposed to be in this timeline. That's how good God is. He can set it down and he doesn't have to touch it again. But the bottom line is, everybody was going to die. And he provided a saving grace for those that called on his name. Noah was a believer. His faith saved him. The fact that he would spend 100 years out of his life building a boat when there'd never been rain, never been water that they've had to deal with, that's faith. And putting up with the ridicule. He provided a saving way out for those that would accept it. And it's a sad commentary that only 8 people, and I don't even know that all of his family were saving as far as their belief system. He was, and his family was brought into that. God counts family important, and you can be under the umbrella of the leader of the family. We know that children are protected by the parents. If the parents are saved, the children are saved, up to a point where they are no longer children. But God provided a way out. Same with Sodom and Gomorrah. They were destined to be destroyed. Same type of evil going on there that was going on in the world at the time of Noah. And 2 angels were sent to warn Lot. Now, did Lot deserve to be warned? Well, he's family of Abraham. So he was saved, if nothing more than for that. Now, he was obedient. He did do what he was told to do by the angels. He got his family together and they left quickly. The only one that didn't make it was his wife, who looked back. Now, she didn't just glance over her shoulder and look back at Sodom and Gomorrah. She looked back longingly, more of a descriptive term as opposed to just glancing over there. That's why she turned into a pillar of salt. She didn't want to leave. And she didn't want to see it destroyed, I suppose, would be in her mind. So God provides a way out for his people. That's why we have a rapture before the tribulation. It's a way out. Not everybody's going to get it. True Christians will be raptured. The Christians in name only won't be. Prayerfully, they will realize their mistake after the fact. And most of them should finish the process that they started that they didn't complete. And there are going to be family members that aren't Christians, that didn't accept Christ because they were being stubborn, but they've heard about him, so there's no doubt that they know the choice to make. They have a good chance of being protected until they make that final decision. So don't worry about family members. Pray for them, of course, but don't worry about them. When there's nothing you can do anyway, but pray for them. Pray for anyone you're worried about that you don't think is going to make the rapture, but probably should with a little bit of coaxing. But they have to be ready. All right. So God always provides a way out for his faithful. So let's look at some of the Old Testament requirements. Turn with me to Zechariah 13:7. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd. God provides shepherds to lead the flock, but the shepherds were not doing their job. O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but 1/3 shall be left therein. A lot of people are going to die in the tribulation. We have accounts of that in Revelation. Kitty's running around. As long as he stays away from me, I can continue up to a point. Kitty, Kitty. He's jumped up and he's hanging on the ballast above the window. Okay, hang on. I'm back. I should know that I cannot leave him out. Everybody wants to see the kitty, and so I don't mind letting him look at the camera, but then I got to go put him up because he just runs his zoomies and then he starts knocking stuff over, makes a lot of noise. It's distracting. And then if I don't do anything about that, he'll get up and come after me and start biting. All right, back at this. So a third shall be left in. So we're looking at 2/3 dying. I don't come up with those exact numbers, but we don't have all the information necessarily in Revelation. There's a spot where a third died, and there's a spot where another group died, and I only come up to half, but we don't know. And then there's more death after that. He doesn't go along and have fun talking about people dying, I guess, so we're not talking every little one that dies. All the Christians, we're told, may be martyred during the tribulation, and I don't know if those are counted in these numbers. A lot of stuff we're told is just so that we can look back and go, yeah, God knew what he was talking about, because there it is, plain as can be, and we may not figure it out in the meantime. And I will bring a third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried, and they shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people, and then they shall say, the Lord is my God. So we have a remnant that will go into the millennium, and they will be believers. They will be Jewish Christians going into the millennium. As far as the rest of the world, I don't know. You can be a Christian from any denomination, any location in the world, any previous religious background, it doesn't matter. You can become a Christian. There's no limitation. No limitation as far as what you've done, the way you've behaved, what you've done to hurt people. You can be repentant and move forward from any situation, and God can forgive you if you are truly repentant. You just can't say the words but not feel it inside. Okay, that's Zechariah. Jeremiah 31. The word came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. What he's writing now. And lo, the day shall come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel and of Judah, saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. We've done that. Daniel's dry bones, we've seen that. And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman travail? Rhetorical questions here. And all faces are turned into paleness. There's trouble. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. We've been told in Revelation, the day of the Lord, there will be none like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves to him. But they shall serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up. A lot of times when you look something up or you listen to people, they say, well, the tribulation and the revelation of everything is basically only covered in Revelation. No. Revelation is a summary of what's in the Old Testament, with some new stuff added, but the key points are summary. It is the 70th week of Daniel. Daniel talks about the weeks that are coming. 70 weeks. There's only been 69. And then he was cut off. And now during this gap, we have a chance. Non-Jews have a chance, but Jews do too as well, but basically it's for the rest of the world. So let's look at a couple of New Testament. 2 Thessalonians 2:6. And now we know what withholdeth he that might be revealed in his time. Talking about the Antichrist. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he is taken out of the way. We know that the Spirit of God controls Satan, sets his boundaries up, draws a box around him. Don't go out that. And Satan can't go out that box. God will allow Satan to do some things. It's like he did now. With Job, he pushed Job too far, and he won't do that again. But when it comes to what Satan can do, God controls it. He sets the rules, and Satan has to follow it. There's a restraining force that keeps Satan from doing what he wants to do. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. God will kill the Antichrist and Satan eventually. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, which is the Antichrist, with all power and signs and lying wonders. That's the Antichrist. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, Revelation 12:1. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. The Revelation 12 sign. September 2017. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. Watch a video on the Revelation 12 sign. It covers this perfectly. It's like this was laid down in the timeline to be available to match the scriptures, or the scriptures would match what God has already laid down. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. Satan's the great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his heads. Now he's using the earth harlot to set things up for the Antichrist. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them into the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up, harpazo, under God and to his throne. This is the timing that we have coming. Where are we in this? We're waiting to be caught up. The harlot's at work in the world. Now we're reversing some of it temporarily. We're the restraining force. The harlot can't work with us here. Klaus Schwab, reviewing the world and seeing that his dream would not come true, resigned from the World Economic Forum. Don't be deceived. There's plenty that will take his place. and all that's going on right now, the reversal of everything the previous administration did, can come to a halt like that, what would happen if all the Christians right now were removed? It's game over for the world then. Satan's got no one to stop him. The new Christians that will be born during the tribulation won't have the experience, the power to use, the knowledge of how to use the power. Oh, they will be protected up to a point, but they may have to be martyred because that was the price to pay for not being in the original rapture. You see, these things are happening now, setting the course, setting the place. Whether you're playing chess or checkers, the board is set. The next major piece to move is the rapture. That's why we keep saying it can be any time. The rapture is the next biblical event. There's nothing that has to be done. There's no prerequisite for it. It's ready. Now, Paul was looking for the rapture in his time, but the world wasn't ready. Now, Jerusalem during Paul's time still existed, so they could see the temple being defiled at that time because it still existed. They didn't know it was going to be destroyed, even though Jesus predicted it, and he quoted the Bible when he did that. They didn't see the future. Prophecy sometimes is not meant for the people to, as a guide for the future. Again, it's meant to look back and go, oh, okay, see, he told all about it here 500 years before it happened. This is God for sure, because nobody could predict that. Nobody could predict, with outside the Bible, that Jerusalem would be destroyed and rebuilt. Israel would be destroyed and rebuilt. The dry bones would get skin and come to life. Even though it's predicted, nobody could see it. We have a pre-trib rapture, guaranteed. The question is we don't know when, because we don't know the start of the tribulation. We don't know how to recognize it. It doesn't really say. And the problem that we have, everybody calls the 70th week or the 7-year time period the tribulation, but that's not correct. In this life you will have tribulation is the closest you can attribute to it. But what happens in the first half isn't defined as the tribulation. The second half is the great tribulation, the wrath of God, the bowls. But the first half, it doesn't call it anything in the Bible. Jacob's trouble, okay, well, we've got that wrapped up in it, but that's not tribulation. So, when is the start? We don't know. People have come from the end and backed up, because we know at the end certain things are going to happen, and they can reverse engineer that and bring us back. And we can see that it covers the 7-year period, but when does it start? We don't know. So since we don't know the start, we don't know when the second coming is. Not knowing the day or the hour is the second coming, not the rapture. There's even less about the rapture. And the rapture is in the Bible. I've talked about this in a previous video a number of times. It's in the Latin Bible, rapturo. But harpazo means the same thing. That's the Greek version. If you'd rather us talk about harpazo, we can do that. They both mean caught up, just different languages. There's multiple languages involved, and we have to be careful with that. But harpazo, as I showed you before, that there are 13 examples of harpazo in the New Testament. I always want to pronounce it with a T, it's harpazo. Harpazo. I always like to put a T on it. It just sounds better, but I'm not speaking Greek. In any case, we could see that for the 13, not all of them had to do with the rapture. They had to do with other things, situations where the situation required them being snatched away to protect them. So we know the meaning. Sometimes words in translation, and because sometimes we're not 100% sure on the spelling. Rabbit trail time. When the Bible was first taught, it was oral. They had no way to write. The priests passed this down. The oral traditions were passed down from leader to leader, priest to priest, and they would teach this in the synagogues. Eventually, they got to where they could write it down. But writing was very expensive. Somebody had to take months to write the Torah. One, it had to be precise. We're writing God's word. It has to be precise. Someone had to write the first one. That may have been Moses, and he may have had scribes with him to help write it. But somebody that knew the tradition, had a good connection to God, because all the Bible writings are inspired God words. And Moses had that connection. So that's why we think he did it. And he was educated. But initially, the initial Hebrew words that were used, because writing was so expensive, they didn't put the vowels in. The vowels were added later. And they wouldn't touch the original text. That's why if you look at Hebrew, you see the consonants and the vowels. The consonants are all across the page, reading from right to left. But across the page, the vowels are above and below. Dots and dashes were added afterwards. Could somebody have made a mistake on a dot or a dash? See, sometimes words have a meaning in one book, and then you look at another book and there's a different meaning for it. Is it the same word? We're not sure. Sometimes. The majority of the Bible there's no problem with. But there are occasions where it doesn't make sense sometimes. As I said before in my talk, anytime science and the Bible don't match, one or both are wrong in the interpretation. God's word is never wrong. It's always the truth. But our interpretation could be wrong. So this little aside is just to show you that we believe that it's pre-trib, and we believe it's imminent. We believe, frankly, that it's this year, or we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on all the calculations. Now, Dr. Barry who's really good with his timelines, wants to put the tribulation on a Jewish festival day. There's no evidence to that, but he's really good about lining up. On this day, all these events in the Bible happened. And on this day, all these events in the Bible happened. So he's really good at drawing these things. And he has an argument that could argue for that to happen on a festival day. I don't think the rapture will happen on a festival day. That's my personal opinion. It's a Gentile event, not a Jewish event. Jesus didn't talk about the rapture to his Jewish disciples. He talked about the second coming. He talked about the end times, the sun going dark, stars falling from the sky, which we see in Revelation. So he's telling us what's going to happen, but we don't have the rapture because the rapture was not for the Jews. The rapture was for believers. And the Jews at that time, when Jesus was here, they were refusing to accept Jesus is still alive. Until they saw him resurrected, a lot of them didn't believe. And even afterwards, Thomas, doubting Thomas, had to say, well, unless I can put my fingers in the holes in his hands and stick my hand in the side of his wound, I'm not going to believe either. I don't care what you tell me. They had the whole room full of people saying, we saw Jesus. He wasn't going to believe. So Jesus allowed him to do what he asked, because he wanted him to believe. All right. What do we do? If the rapture is this year, what do we do? If the rapture is next year, what do we do? If we're wrong and it happens to be no rapture, I'm saying we can't read then. So I'm really going to dispel that one. There is a rapture, and actually there's 3 in the end times. The first one's the big one. Our 2 witnesses are raptured. And the 144,000 are standing before God at some point. How do they get there? And then the very end, separating the sheep and the goats. Rapture's in the Bible. Be ready. Have your lamps filled. Now, the lamps being filled was for the wedding feast. That's for the return of the bridegroom. But it applies to anything that has to do with God. Be ready. If you say, God, help me to do this, don't go in and go to sleep or do nothing. Be ready. Believe in it and expect it and be ready. That's all we can do. And know that God will be with us. No matter what situation we're in, God will be with us. And on that note, till we meet in the clouds, God bless.